differently once you get my bill from Cathedral.
Look, whatever it is, it's worth it. Angela, I'd love to show you my appreciation. Take you out to dinner tonight, some drinks, get you out of the house.
Oh, I'm very flattered and appreciative, but
You gotta eat.
it's unfortunately, I already have dinner plans, so.
How about tomorrow? The next day?
These plans are kind of a standing arrangement, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Look, you're still the
I'll
best,
speak to you
Angela.
soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Hello.
Skip the life and angle. When we call out for another drink, the waiter brought
No one leaves the house anymore.
Come on, talk like that, Iceman. Could lead to the eventual extinction of our species.
Oh, I definitely saw her move out.
Okay, when was this?
3 days ago. Moving van, moving men, furniture.
No. I've been in Mexico for over a week now. How could I be in LA selling my house at the same time?
Try it wasn't your house to sell. It's not her, I'm telling you, it's not Angela Bennett.
Sir, calm down.
I am Angela Bennett!
Please, the real Angela Bennett had to deed the mortgage papers. Come on. I got 20,000 into computers over here. I checked every record. It's not her.
Look,
Oh.
ma'am, it would help everything if you could just produce some form of identification.
You know what? I agree with you. But I've told you 1,000 times already today that I had everything stolen in Cozumel.
Yo, Mike, you want to run this?
We'll be right back.
You know what? It's not going to make any difference because what they've done is they've screwed with my information and my fingerprints. I have no idea.
Where do you work? Do you work around here?
Well, yeah, I work in my house, but my office is in San Francisco, but I've never been there, but I work out of my house.
You don't know one person in a town you've lived in for 4 years who can vouch you're Angela Bennett?
No.
Mrs. Raines? Is she or isn't she?
She kept to herself, didn't talk to anybody.
We found a church that we knew that we could call our home. That was Essential Church.
There's something kind of cool about being a part of what God's doing here and being able to just be a part of that mission.
It's really nothing more than a loving relationship with Jesus Christ that'll last for all eternity.
The truth in the Lord is where I need to be, and that I just need to give it all to Him, and that's how we're going to do it.
Whenever I'm asked, what sci-fi type movie has been the best predictor of the future, that's the one I go to. Most people overlook it, don't think about it at all, but I don't know of any movie that was a better predictor of the future and what the future would look like than that one. The movie was called The Net with Sandra Bullock. It came out in 1995, okay, which means it was most likely filmed in 1994. 1994 is when many of y'all probably have seen that episode, that little clip of the Today Show where Bryant Gumbel and Katie Couric are trying to figure out what the @ symbol is, and then they famously go, "What is internet?" Anybody know what is internet? That's when that movie was being made. Even down to now, I know the graphics were bad, but even down to the screensaver she has on her computer is an aquarium, which she then changes to a fireplace. How many of y'all have had an aquarium on your TV and a fireplace on your TV at home? Yes, see? I'm telling you, tell me that movie wasn't amazing. And the idea is that it pictured that there would be somebody who the internet would allow them to be completely socially isolated. They could work from home. They could order their food online. They could order any household items they need online. That any social interaction they would have would be via some type of social, we call it social media now. Back then it was chat servers or the like, and that all of her social interaction would be with people. And in the movie, the person she's chatting with there is named Cyber Bob. That's what I find interesting. And then even down to the point where later on in the movie, I kind of cut that clip. Not even her next door neighbor really even knows who she is. She can't even recognize her or know anything about her. Now, the only thing that this movie got wrong was that someone like Sandra Bullock's character would be an anomaly and not the norm. That's what they got wrong. Because that right there is the 21st century. You work from home, your neighbors don't know who you are, you can get everything you need online, and you have very few close, meaningful friendships. The other thing they got wrong is the fact that the police officer would be like, come on, seriously? You don't know anybody personally? Nowadays, they'd be like, so you don't know anybody? Okay, yeah, that checks out. All right, that makes sense. That's the only thing that would be any different nowadays. Now, to back that up, there's surveys that I was looking at. It's funny because I saw this survey, and I've been wanting to use that clip for a long time. That's kind of been in the bank for a long time. And so it's interesting how well this parallels a survey that was done by the group called the Survey Center for American Life. Okay, that's the name of their group. I guess it tells you exactly what they do. They did some studies back in 1990 and then did a follow-up study in 2021. And it was about friendship and close friends. Back in 1990, 63% of the people they surveyed had 5 or more close friends. So if you talked about your close friends, people you hang out with, do life together, 63% had 5 or more close friends. That number has dropped in 2021 down to 38%. That's almost an exact inverse. You know what I mean by that is if you take 68% at 5 or more, that would mean that 32% have, yeah, something like that, yeah. What are you, a math teacher or something? All right. Why, yes, you are. It's almost the exact opposite as it flips around. That number's, it's gone down by 25% over the past, 30? Is it 30 years? Help me with math again. 31 years? Okay, yes, there we go. All right. I should write these calculations down for the next service. Another one was, and also part of this study, in 1990, only 3% of the people they surveyed said they don't have one close friend. They don't even have one close friend. Like only 3%, and let's go, let's say they have nobody. Like, do you have any friends? They say no. Do you have anybody you could call? Anybody to put on the form that says, in case of emergency, contact? 3% of the people said nobody. 2021, anybody want to guess what the number is? It's pretty high. It's up to 12%. So it's not exorbitantly high, but that's still 4 times as many? All right, okay. So 4 times as many people don't have anybody to put down as that emergency contact person when you're there at the doctor's office or you're going bungee jumping or whatever it is that you're doing, and they say, who should we send the remains to? They say, I don't have anybody. That went dark quick, and right... Somebody's hacking this a la the net, because as soon as I said that, my iPad went just zapped out for a second. Cyber Bob, yes. In 1990, 75% of the people surveyed said among their close friends, they have somebody they would consider their best friend. So I've got several close friends. Of the people who said they have several close friends, 75% said, I've got somebody who's my best friend. In 2021, that number has dropped down to 59%, who said, among my close friends, I got somebody I would consider be my best friend, like they're my BFF for life. Now, the interesting thing about that is that survey was done right before the internet came out, and now. So pretty much that survey kind of parallels the internet age. The internet age, which we thought would lead to greater connection, right? I mean, that's what it was all sold on. I mean, think about how you could network and connect, and everybody can now be connected to this. Think about the boom that this would do for social interaction. And yet we've seen that as internet activity has gone up, the social interaction and the meaningful social interaction has gone down. Now, about this, this is nothing new. There were trends like this or situations like this that date back to 3,000 years ago, which fortunately for a pastor whose working material that I have to work with is somewhere between 3,000 to 2,000 years ago, nothing is new under the sun. And that was the theme and the model or the title, the subtitle, if you will, of a book of the Bible, Nothing New Under the Sun. You know it as Ecclesiastes. And in that book, you've got a guy named Solomon who, when he writes, and he says this in chapter 4, again, I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son or brother. And there was no end to his hard work, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. And he asked himself, what am I working so hard for? And why am I sacrificing doing something better with my time? This too is meaningless and depressing. Conversely, though, I observe this: 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, they can help one another up. But pity the fool who, you can't read that without, for those of you who didn't grow up in the 80s, your parents or friends will explain it. It says, I pity anyone who falls down and has no one to help them up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves, for a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. When Solomon says there was a man all alone, most scholars who study this in depth, they believe he's talking about himself, because so much of Ecclesiastes, he is giving these observations. Solomon was known as the wealthy king, the wise king, the philosopher king. Basically, he was somebody who God says, okay, I'm going to give you unlimited supplies of everything everybody's always chasing. Money, power, fame, women, whatever it is you want, I will give you an unlimited supply of it so you can go to the extremes of all things to figure out what is there worthwhile pursuing in this life. And so Solomon does just that. And so as he talks it through the narrative of the book of Ecclesiastes, he's sharing his own experiences. And so many people believe when he gets here to chapter 4 and he says there was a man all alone, he doesn't want to come out and say, hey, I'm a lonely guy. It's not really fitting of what most people would want to say. How are you doing? Well, my name's Steve, and I feel very lonely and isolated. And that's nice. Okay, good meeting you. We kind of drift away from that person, a little clingy. And so he just says there was a man who was all alone. He didn't have a friend, or didn't have a brother, didn't have a son, didn't have anybody there in his life. And if you think about it, here's a guy who had everything you could ever want. He had every toy you could ever imagine. He pursued every dream you could possibly have. He literally had the best job in the world. He was the king over an extremely prosperous nation, his father was David, who basically had conquered everything as far as the eye can see, so there was relative peace when he took over his leadership. He's got everything, and yet he looks around and he says, I'm kind of depressed. And he asks this question. He says, what am I working so hard for anyway? I mean, what am I doing all of this? And as I started thinking about that, this, kind of where my ponderings go with this is, we have a problem of isolation and loneliness. And our pursuits are universally to achieve more, to do more, to acquire more. And what do we do with the things that we achieve and we acquire? Like, think about what your goals are, what your aspirations are when you think through life, okay? So let me give you a few scenarios. Well, I can't afford my own boat, so I go fishing I got a friend of mine who, if you don't have a boat, what do you need? A friend who's got a boat, right? Right? So it's better, honestly, it's better than having a boat, because then he pays for all the stuff. You just get to go out and enjoy it. But the whole time you're out with your friend on his boat, you're thinking to yourself, I can't wait till someday I can have my own boat, right? That'd be nice if I could have my own boat. Then I could go fishing whenever I wanted. I didn't have to wait till old Ralphie here had the free time to go fishing. I could go fishing whenever I want on my schedule. Or perhaps maybe you're at a stage in life where you live in an apartment and there's people all around, and the walls are so thin, you know your neighbors better than you want to know your neighbors. And you think to yourself, I can't wait till I can save up enough money to get a down payment so I can move out of the apartment complex with all these people and get my own house, right? I want to have my own house. I want to kind of have my own space, my own place. And this summer, it's been hot, and so we've been going to the community center pool. But there's all these people there, and you got to go work around their schedule, and there's kids splashing. And so I'm really hoping that someday, maybe we could buy a place that has our own pool, right? And maybe when I retire, I'm looking forward to retirement. It's coming up soon. And so I can retire, I can move out of the city, maybe buy some land somewhere kind of far away from people. You notice what every single one of these things have in common when we think about what we want to do or achieve? They're all moving us towards greater isolation. Just think about your ideas, your hopes, your dreams, your visions for what you want. It all moves us towards greater isolation. I want to get my own, so I don't have to deal with you people. That's what we say. Now, what's really odd about that is that if you go and you look at the surveys and the studies, for instance, the survey done by, I got to give you the name of this one just because it's a group that publishes in the Journal of Happiness Studies. Who knew there was such a thing, right? So according to the Journal of Happiness Studies, when they looked at what differentiates people who say they have a satisfied, fulfilled, and meaningful life to people who would say they are depressed or struggling or are not as happy or fulfilled as they want to be, it wasn't, the factors had nothing to do with money or job success or career achievements. They had nothing to do with getting married. So you're like, well, I can show you that one. Why is that so funny? It just is. It just is. But rather, over and over and over again, the studies always come out that having rich, deep, meaningful, joy-producing friendships is the number one factor in people saying, I have a satisfied, fulfilled, and happy life. And yet, what are we pursuing? We're hoping to earn and save enough money so we can be more isolated from all the people who have the potential of giving us a joyful, meaningful, satisfied life. And you might even say, yes, but the people who will give me a joyful, meaningful, satisfied life are not the people who are behind the thin wall of my apartment complex. Perhaps. But even they have an impact on your psyche. Even they have an impact on you. And we all sort of did our own social experiment with this during the pandemic. You know, people who lived in apartment complexes close to other people fared a lot better than the people who were completely isolated, all alone, and cooped up in their own house. Because just the opportunity to see somebody else, to realize there's somebody else out there in the world, even if it's just looking out the window and going, well, at least we're not as weird as that person. Right? I feel better about myself looking at that couple, right? Even those little things right there add something to your health. And oh, am I the only one who's ever thought that? Okay, leave me hanging out to dry. You're like, oh, I'm pastor thinking that. And so he's looking at this and he's saying, I've got everything, but I'm alone. And perhaps he's looking out there. Maybe it's that old cliche that it's lonely at the top. It's lonely to be king because you're all alone and you don't have those close personal friendships oftentimes. And he looks out and he says, I observe the benefits of friendship. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. This is, of course, where, pinged my interest in doing a series on return on investment. The return on relationship, return on investments. Now, I came out of a skilled carpentry and home repair background, and I can tell you the studies are very true, that if you take a highly skilled craftsman and you just pair them with a completely unskilled craftsman, the return on their labor will be a boost in productivity by anywhere from 50% to 300%. In other words, just by not having to hold the other end of the board yourself or figure out how you're going to prop the other end of the board up, or, hey, can you go get me more nails? Oh, can you go run to Home Depot because we forgot something? I mean, think about the fact that if you're paying somebody anywhere from $25 an hour to $150 an hour, you don't want him making a Home Depot run, do you? Let the other guy go do that. And so he says there's a return. I see this return on investment if you just add somebody else to them. There's just an extra person there. Not only that, there's tons of studies. By the way, I did a really deep dive for this message. Every so often, I'll have a message that I just get consumed with, and which is why, while this is the last message in the Return on Investment series, this is also the first message in the next series on loneliness, isolation, and connection. So that's what's coming up next, by the way, because sometimes I go in such a deep dive, I'm like, oh, I'm getting more than one message out of this thing. But part of it's because it's such an issue and such a need. So with that, a lot of the studies that I've been looking into, and I lost my train of thought because I'm trying to promote the next series. Were these psychological studies where they do these things? By the way, if anybody ever asks you to do a psychological study, say no. I mean, that's one observation from all the psychological studies I've observed is just say no, because they're going to lie to you and they're going to make you think things that aren't really true so they can figure out what you're really thinking. I just don't like it. So they did these different studies where they pulled people in a room. They said, we're going to put you up in teams, and what you need to do is you need to write down, as you look around the room, write down 5 people that you would want to partner up with, and we'll pair you up with them. And so they do that, and then they separate up, individually. And then they go to each person. And they're like, okay, hey, Steve, nobody puts you down. And so right now, the first topic, we don't have time to prepare everybody for this first thing right now anyway, which is good because nobody's put you down. So we're going to try to find somebody else who also is like you, that nobody else wanted to work with them, and pair you guys up. But this first is an individual task anyway. And could you just go in and we're going to do some taste tests of some cookie brands. Okay? And then they had the next person would come in, the next few people come in, they'd say, listen, almost everybody in the class put you down, or put you down as somebody that, not put you down, but almost everybody wrote your name down because they wanted to pair with you. And so we're having a hard time doing that, but that's okay because the first task we have is an individual task. So I'll give some time to figure out, you being, everybody wants you, right? Figure out what we'll do. And they had them go do a taste test. And they looked at how the people rated the cookies. And they found that the people who nobody wanted to be their friend, so to speak, ate a lot more cookies and rated them tasting really bad. And the people who everybody wanted to be their friend would just take a bite or two of each cookie, taste them, and write down the reviews on the cookies. So maybe loneliness is why you're eating away your feelings, perhaps. I don't know. But just that simple thing there of the return on investment, not even of somebody being there, but just knowing that somebody would want to be there if they could, has a return on investment. And you think about that return on investment. Now, it's one of these things, return on investment. The problem with return on investment is, as what I mentioned the other day, is the return on investment is all about doing something now for the sake of your future. And the problem is, see, like, you don't know, if you could listen right now, this would help you out so much. But you're not listening any better than the rest of the folks in the room, probably. And the problem is because you don't know future you. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I know a lot of people, but the person I don't know is Pastor Steve at age 70. I don't know him. I like him. I want him to be okay and all, but I don't like him more than I like Pastor Steve now. Because I like me now a lot more than I like me then. I mean, that guy can worry about himself for all I care, right? Especially when I think about what I want right now. And that's the problem with return on investment. And so many things that deal with return on investment you will listen to, and these studies, these surveys I just read, okay, they typically fall into the category of one I remember seeing years ago, I listened to a comedian make fun of. It said, survey done of people who subscribe to wine, this is a true story, people who subscribe to Wine and Cheese magazine, they found consume higher than average level amounts of wine compared to the average American. Oh, wow. I'm glad you spent some time on that survey. In other words, it falls in the category of, tell me something I don't know, right? So why am I telling you these studies about what leads to your happiness and your well-being? Because, honestly, none of you go, wow, really? Are you mean to tell me that if I live life with friends, I'll be happier than living life without friends? Wow, Steve. That's why I come to church, not only for the biblical insights, but the insights into humanity and sociology. No, you were like, yeah, okay. Tell me something I don't know. But everything in the category of return on investment falls in this category like, my mom used to say, you need to sit with good posture, because if you sit in good posture, you'll have better back health when you get older. Okay. Like I listened to that one, right? Diet and exercise will make your body a whole lot easier to move around and get out of bed when you get older. Yeah, okay, all right, yeah, sure, I'll do that. If you can leverage, Dave Ramsey would say, the power of compound interest over time to work in your advantage and not work against you, it'll work out to your benefit in ways that will blow your mind. Oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll save. Oh, wait, what's that? Oh, well, I can buy that now on credit. Okay, these things are in the category not of the knowledge is so insightful, I'm going to do that right now. They fall in the category of if you only apply it. And this issue with friendship and why it continues to be an issue is you know it, but you're not doing anything about it, okay? Because if you could just go out and, I need a friend? Okay, how do I do that? Get me one of those, right? I mean, who wouldn't want a best friend for life? Do you want a best friend, right? One you can do everything with, and somebody who you can call on your worst day. Somebody who's a piano friend. You know what a piano friend is, right? Somebody will help you carry the piano out of your condo, down one flight of stairs to your new apartment, which is up 3 flights of stairs. Anybody ever moved a piano? I have on more than one occasion. It's freaking heavy. You know, I want a piano friend. I want somebody I could call up in the middle of the night. I want somebody who will be there on my worst day. I want somebody who I can go out and share and enjoy experiences with. I want somebody I can play board games with and have fun with. I want somebody I can, do life with, besides my spouse, right? Well, if we knew where that was, we'd run out and get it tomorrow. The problem is, friendship is about a return on investment, isn't it? And with investments, you don't always know which one's going to pay off, right? Like if you invest money, the reason why you diversify is because you don't know which one's going to pay off. Like if you think about right now, for those of you who are in the category that says, I have a best friend, how many of you knew the day that you met that person, they become your best friend? Handful of you. Most of us like, well, I don't know, we were kind of in shop class together, and both of us didn't know what we were doing, and we just kind of hung out and goofed off in the back classroom, and we've kind of kept in touch over the years, and now they're my best friend. That's just kind of how often it happens. It's just somebody that you end up over time becoming close friends with. You don't even know how it's going to happen. And so, with everything else in this category, you don't know what is going to sort of pay off. And then the other thing with it is, even though you know it, you're not changing anything about your lifestyle to fall in line with it, any more than you're eating better, saving more money, or sitting up straighter, right? Like you know all those things, you're just not going to do anything about them. Because even though I talked about how number one factor in your happiness is close friends. What are your career goals? What are your aspirations in life? It's to earn enough money to be more isolated. Yep. And your point is? My point is, you're not changing your goals and your aspirations to match up with what you know to be the very thing that's going to be in your best interest. You're not. You're not changing your daily schedule. You are willing to take a job for more money, even though you have no idea who works there. Even though it means that you'll have to pack up everything you own, move to a new city, find a new church, a new group of friends, a new everything. Why? Because they're going to pay you $10,000 more a year with a chance for advancement. Because if I had that money, I wouldn't have to go to the community pool and live in the apartment. We don't think in terms of how will this impact our social network. When we were asked about working from home, sign me up. You mean tell me I don't have to spend an hour getting ready, an hour in commute, and getting there and being around a bunch of people at the office I don't really want to be around and people distracting me all day? Sign me up for that. We don't think about the impact that it has on our personhood, or the possibility that it would lead to a lack of close friendships at work, and what that can do to your work environment over time. What I'm getting at is that Solomon looks around and he says, wow, look at all these people. I notice the benefit of it. And I'm asking myself this question, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I working so hard to make more money just to be all alone? When in the reality is I look out there and I see people who have close friendships. Now, one of the things I don't have time because the sound booths tell me I got to quit. There's a conditional clause in there that says, if either of you falls down. Conditional clauses in both the Hebrew and the Greek language, we have to make a decision as to whether we translate it as if then or when then. And this is a translation decision. And the more broad-based is always the if, which is why translators are very cautious to use the when. In other words, if means, well, could or could not happen, right? Whereas when means it's a certainty it's going to happen. And so translators will often go to the more ambiguous translation of if on these cause-effect sentences. This is one, though, that a lot of translators look at this and go, it really should be a when thing, especially when you look at the certainties of life that Solomon's observing. And what he's saying is, I look out there at the people who have friendships. And if the people have a close friendship, when either of them falls down, physically, emotionally, spiritually, they've got somebody there who can help them up. But pity anyone, or it just really stinks if you're somebody who falls down and you don't have somebody who can help you back up. What I'm getting at in all of this is, and where I think Solomon was going with, he's like, why am I doing what I'm doing? if you're going to develop friendships, and by the way, this is what this whole next series is going to be about, because I know I wouldn't have enough time to cover everything in this one series. You need to add intentionality to this. You have to add intentionality to this. I know we've got small groups coming up, and it's not really why I'm giving this message. It was just kind of the last of this message, and this whole next series is not going to be a 6 weeks advertisement for small groups. It's going to be about the need for connection, connectivity. But something that Pastor Chris always says is, when he talks about table groups, it's taking the relationships you have and adding intentionality to them. Like, how do you convert a social, mild connection into a lifelong friendship? You have to be intentional about it. So what if you were just to get together with one or two people that you know or have a relationship with or are somewhat friendly with and simply ask each other this, 3 questions on a regular basis? Where are you at? Where do you want to go? How can I help you get there? Where are you at? Where do you want to go? How can I help you get there? We call those table groups. It's nothing deeper than that. It's just asking those questions or even being trained to get to that place. So I've got it in there for the sake of time and for the kids who are in the nursery and for the one that's in here that also, it's kind of time to, well, if that's what this one's doing in here, imagine what they're doing back in the nursery where they're all playing with them. That's where the nursery workers are like, could you please end on time? I will. She's probably like, my friends are needing help. And mom was like, sorry, we ain't going to tell the pastor that, and gets him walks out. These are the things that go through my mind as I'm up here. And it's like, do you ever get distracted? Yes. It's just if you only knew the stuff that was on my mind. The stuff I've shared this morning and Solomon's observations, will you actually change what you're doing and the decisions you're making? Or will you continue to pursue the same things that are leading you to isolation? If you're not sure yet, come back for the next couple of weeks. We'll look a little bit deeper into this. How do we get to a place of isolation? How do we get out of the isolation? What are the contributing factors? How do marriages help you get out of isolation? And how do marriages contribute to the isolation? And those are some of the things we'll be looking at over the next couple of weeks. Would you want to close our time in prayer? Father, I know that you don't want us to live alone or be alone. For friendship, community is something that has been modeled from the very beginning of time. The first thing that was not good that you created was Adam being alone. When you came here on this earth, you gathered together a group of friends, and even within that, a closer group of friends. And Father, you've continued to model this over time for us. We know this to be true, Father, but help us pursue it. Forgive us for thinking that isolation is a key and falling into that trap. But move us to a place where we see the value in community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.